Welcome to Forever. Like the stories from Aboriginal Dreamtime, forever implies something that's always been here and always will be here. Water is forever. There is no new water. The same water has been travelling around the earth for billions of years in a never-ending cycle. You've been riding this cycle since the day you were born. Your grandmother rode it, and her grandmother, and her great-great-grandmother. Along the way, it carried their dreams, their jobs, and their lives. If we treat it right, your grandchildren and their great-grandchildren will ride it as well. We're going to need this water because Western Australia is growing. In the next 50 years, we could see as many as 3 million new people in this part of the country. That means a lot more industries, a lot more farms, and a lot more homes. All of these things will be dependent on the water cycle. Because so much is riding on this cycle, it is critical that we understand it. It all starts with the sun. This colossal fireball is the engine that drives the water cycle. This thirsty giant water-sucking machine evaporates about 578,000 teralitres of water from the planet's lands and oceans each year. Think about it. 1 teralitre equals 1,000 billion litres of water. What goes up must come down, and this water eventually comes back down to Earth in the form of rain or snow in colder climates. As the rain falls, it fills up our lakes, rivers and dams. These are important sources of water for Western Australia. But water also flows into the ground, creating vast underground water formations called aquifers. Almost 80% of the water used in Perth comes from groundwater. Like rivers and lakes, aquifers both store and transmit water. How the water moves through an aquifer depends on the composition of the rock and soil that make up the formation. Aquifers are made of permeable material like sand and limestone, which allow the water to easily flow through them. Some are near the surface and some are deep underground. Some soils, like granite and clay, are neither porous nor permeable and do not allow water to easily flow through them. They often form effective barriers that separate one aquifer from another. When an aquifer is deep and blocked off by layers of clay or granite, it's called a confined aquifer. Though it might take thousands of years, groundwater eventually finds its way back to the rivers, lakes and oceans, and then, thanks to our friend the sun, back into the sky. Funny thing about the water cycle is, it doesn't distribute the water evenly around the earth. This has always been true, but now more than ever. We are in the middle of a global shift in weather patterns. We are in a time of decreasing rainfall, and climate experts predict this trend will continue over the next 50 years. For Western Australia, this shift has meant a lot less rain. You can see it in the levels of our dams, lakes and rivers. What you can't see is the level of the Gnangara Mound, Perth's main source of groundwater. Water levels in this aquifer have decreased over the last 10 years. This combination of decreasing rainfall and increasing population has real consequences for everyone in this room and everyone in Western Australia. If we continue as we are today, by the year 2030, Western Australia will come up short in the water we need by as much as 120 gigalitres. And this gap could grow to almost 365 gigalitres by 2060. What is a gigalitre, you ask? 1 gigalitre of water is enough to supply 10,000 people or over 4,000 households for 1 year. That could leave a lot of people high and dry. What's the solution? Climate resilience. We need to learn to bounce back from whatever Mother Nature throws at us. And the Water Corporation has a plan. A plan that involves you and all of you. If we are to ensure that Western Australia has water forever, together we need to make 3 changes. First, we're going to have to learn to recycle more of the water we're already using. Second, we're all going to have to learn to use less water. We're also going to have to use our brains and adopt the best technology out there to develop new sources of water. If we all pitch in and do our part, it's amazing what we can do. Let's look at recycling for a minute. Water recycling is often misunderstood, and it holds enormous potential for improving our lives. As water gets used, it gets mixed up with things like shampoo, soap, sweat and dirt of all kinds. It then gets piped off to a wastewater treatment plant, though we don't really waste this water. The truth is that it's the same beautiful water molecule it has always been, going round and round this never-ending water cycle billions of times. It just gets cleaned up by nature or by humans each time through. In fact, what some people call wastewater is actually 99.97% water. We can't afford to waste that. Here at the Kwinana Water Recycling Plant, water is treated to a very high level, so it can be reused by a variety of industries. Did you know you can't make your car go without water? Water is a key element in the refining of petroleum, and at this oil refinery, the largest in Australia, they're using recycled water from the Kwinana plant to refine 138,000 barrels of oil a day to make everything from petrol to jet fuel. Much of the water used to process this oil comes into the refinery in the form of steam from a company called Cogen. Cogen turns the recycled water into steam, sends some of it off to the oil company and uses the rest to make electricity. Water as steam turns the turbines, then is cooled back into water and recycled yet again to make more steam. In fact, from hydro dams to coal plants, water is involved in virtually every kind of power station. On average, it takes about 60 litres of water to light a 60-watt bulb for 12 hours. So the next time you turn off the light, imagine you're not only saving power, but water as well. Another place that is using recycled water to make green products is this tree farm. With over 380,000 trees, the farm is using about 5.3 megalitres of water per day. Wood products are all round us, and the more we can use recycled water to grow these trees, the better off we all are. The other big opportunity for using recycled water is for having fun. Football fields, golf courses and other parks can use recycled water to stay green. A golf course can use up to 100,000 litres of water per day. That's over 40 million litres a year we can save by using recycled water. Finding more and more ways to use this recycled water is going to help a lot, but by itself is not enough to reach our goal of climate resilience. This is where you come in. The average person in Australia uses 525 litres of water per day. Over the next 50 years, the Water Corporation is asking everyone to use 25% less water than they do now. That sounds like a lot, but when you look at how we use water, it's not really so hard. That's the key. The first step and the most important step is to understand how and when you use water. Take a look at this typical suburban home. Almost half the annual water is used outside the home in lawns and garden, so that's a good place to start. Having a beautiful green garden does not mean you have to use a lot of water. Using water-wise plants and turf are great ways to save water and create landscapes that incorporate water-sensitive urban design. Preparing the soil with good compost and mulching it properly helps keep in the water you do use. Efficient irrigation systems and rainwater collection tanks can help keep the waterwise garden healthy. And there are lots more ways you can save water outside the house. One of the most interesting is to water the garden with water you are saving inside the house. Catching the cold water while you're waiting for the shower to warm up is a great way to find some extra water for plants. Once you begin to look at water as something precious, your common sense kicks in and you begin to find some easy ways to save water. Like turning off the tap while you brush your teeth and running the dishwasher only when it's full. The fixtures and appliances in your house can also save water. A simple flow regulator in the tap can save as much as 50% of the water you use. A dual flush toilet can save up to 3,300 litres per year, while a 4-star rated washing machine can save up to 25,000 litres per year. You can see how it all adds up, but the most important thing is awareness. Treat water like money, like gold. Become aware of how much you use and how much you save. You'll save money in the process. While you're doing your share, the Water Corporation is doing its part to develop new water sources. We're bringing some of the best minds in the world together to adapt the most advanced water technologies as we look for ways to increase the water supply. Since 2006, we've been using an advanced treatment process to turn seawater into drinking water in a process called desalination at our 2 desalination plants in Kwinana and Binningup. And then we have this building. Does it look familiar? It should. You walked right past it on your way in here. Inside that building is one of the most advanced water treatment technologies in the world. We've taken the desalination technology one step further to treat water to drinking water standards. Here, we take water that's already clean enough to be released into the environment and first pass it through an advanced water treatment process, beginning with something called ultrafiltration. In this process, water passes through very fine hollow membranes that screen out suspended solids, viruses and bacteria. Next, a process called reverse osmosis forces water through an extremely fine membrane, which removes dissolved chemicals, minerals and remaining viruses and bacteria. As you can see, the water molecules are much smaller than most of all these other things, and they are filtered out during this process. Finally, a process called ultraviolet disinfection destroys any microorganisms that might have made it through the reverse osmosis. The ultraviolet light zaps anything that is not water. The result is a very pure water that could be added back into a local water supply. This is actually done in some parts of the world, like Orange County, California, Namibia and Singapore. Here at this plant, the water is being injected into the ground to a depth of between 120 and 220 metres to recharge the Leederville aquifer. This is a confined aquifer and the water is far away from any sources of drinking water. We are constantly monitoring this water as it moves through the ground. It is absolutely essential that we get this process right and this water is safe. For one day, this buried treasure from groundwater replenishment projects could provide Western Australia with as much as 115 gigalitres of water per year. Climate change is a challenge that will affect all of us. But Western Australians have always risen to meet tough challenges. We are partners in this great challenge. We can find more clever ways to use recycled water in our cities and our industries. We can use new technologies to develop new sources of water. And we can all become more aware of the water we use and use less of it. Together, we can ensure water for all, forever for Western Australia.